You really need to understand the art of selling, because in the world that we're living in today, selling is a very important skill. Because building a business or building an enterprise, then that means you really need to be able to understand how to sell your product or service. Because at the end of the day, if you cannot be able to understand the art of selling, then that means you do not have a business. And having a great business comes down to, do you really understand how to sell your product or service? And that's why in today's video I want to share to you some of the best books on sales and marketing that will really enhance your selling skills and that will really boost you when it comes to selling your product or service, so that you cannot have a hard time when it comes to selling your product or service. Let's dive into it. Number one book on this list is Inbound Selling by Brian Signorelli. That's how it's pronounced. It has really changed the way companies interact with their customers. In fact, in this day and age, buyers are able to learn more about what a company has to offer without even including a sales rep. And this is very interesting because more than 60% of purchasing decisions that are made without including a sales rep. And well, with that being said, how can sales professionals increase their selling using inbound selling? This book has really highlighted step by step on how to use inbound selling to sell your product or service the right way and in the right manner. Number two is New Sales Simplified by Mike Weinberg. What I really appreciate most about this book is what really Mike has done in this book. He has laid out the proven formula of finding prospects and building a lasting relationships with them, because at the end of the day, you really have to understand that for you to really have a good business, then you really have to understand what it really means to keep a good relationship with your clients. And this is what Mike has done. He has written down a proven formula that really works well when it comes to finding successful prospects and building a lasting relationship with your clients, which is very important. I'll advise you to use and to read that book. Number three, The Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark Roberts. This is a very interesting book, and any business enterprise that is aiming to build a multi-billion-dollar business should definitely read this book, because I highly recommend it. What Mark has done in this book, he has really pointed out the initiatives that he has used by combining his methods of selling and technology, which really in most cases has really worked for him. Because at the end of the day, what you can see in this book, he has really combined what it really means to sell a product or service in the modern world that we are living in today. And I highly recommend you to read that book. It's very interesting. Number four to sell is Human by Daniel Pink. Daniel Pink is a very good writer, because what he has really done, he has helped our salespeople to understand what it really means to sell a product or service in the modern world. Because at the end of the day, the old playbook of how to sell a product or service really doesn't work in the world that we're living in today. You really have to understand that selling is really changing with the technology that is happening in the modern world today. And for you to understand selling, then you really need to understand what it really means to sell a product or service in the modern world that we're living in today. And that is what Daniel has done in the book To Sell is Human. Lastly, number five on this list is The Secrets of Closing the Sale by Zig Ziglar. What Zig Ziglar has done in this book, he has really pointed out 100 different ways of closing a sale with a prospect, and he has really pointed out, I think, 700 thought-provoking questions to ask your prospect. And in fact, in the beginning of this book, he says that there is no room for a salesperson trying to close or trying to use a fast route when it comes to selling. And that's what Zig Ziglar has done. I really like this book, and I would really recommend you to read this book, and it will open your ideas of how to close a deal when you're dealing with your prospect. And without further ado, I want to say thank you. If you have found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe.